I put the African ingredient back into the birthing process. You follow me? You do not think, because you've heard this, that every midwife or every nurse knows what you're talking about. They do not know. I teach all of them. They don't know. They have a white education, by definition, which is a partial education. That's why they call it a degree of understanding. They only give you a degree of knowledge. So they give you a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, because they can't give you the whole thing. And they never said they could. They said, look, hey, you want to get a degree from me? You want a master's degree? You can get your master's degree. And the girls go get them. I got a master's degree. You know, I have a degree too, but I don't really. I use that just to navigate in the white world. But when I'm talking to black folks, that stays right where it belongs, next to the toilet paper in the restroom, in case I have an emergency to wipe my behind. So, nonetheless, we're talking about this process of having emotional vocabulary and understanding the brain, which builds an emotional net. We call it a neurological net or a neural net. The emotions are built like you build a spider web. Each emotion is attached to each emotion. Love is attached to jealousy. Love is attached to envy. Love is attached to hate. Whether it's positive is another issue. Whether it's negative is another issue. You can see the attachment of the emotions when you break up with somebody. Because my God, I didn't know he was that crazy. That was the emotion he had that you loved before he started showing it to you. There's a certain amount of crazy you like. That's what I'm saying. A person has to have a certain amount of crazy to love you. And you have to have a certain amount of mental illness to love them. So once you match the crazy with the crazy, you got a love story. Another subject altogether. So I'm just trying to say this is not a difficult thing to absorb. Just go slow with me and you'll get there. The emotional vocabulary is established before you're born. That gives you an emotional budget, and from your emotional budget you get an emotional expense account. You know how much emotions are spent at work. If you spend all your emotions at work, you won't have any to give to your family. So you've got to have an emotional budget. You say, no, I'm not working past 4 o'clock because I need this energy to give to my children, or my children, or my wife. So you set up an emotional budget. No, I can't talk to my mother today because that's a downer. You're going to have problems. Your mother say, I want you to eat this fried chicken and this biscuit with bacon fat on it, and put a little ham, whatever y'all put on those things. I don't remember some of it. I know people still eat biscuits though. Yeah, biscuit means baked twice. Yeah, people eat biscuits, right? I don't know if they eat biscuits. You eat toast, right? Okay, toast. Toast occurred because the Europeans didn't have teeth. So they would put the bread in the beer and drink it. That's why they say toast when they drink it. And you heard people say toast? That's where it comes from. Right. That's why on the U.S. money you never see George Washington, Thomas Jefferson smiling because they didn't have teeth. They had wooden teeth, and they rotted them out from eating sugar. So what they used to do is buy the teeth from the slaves and make, what you call those things, false teeth. False teeth. But they would get them from slaves. You had some good teeth, you better not smile around a cracker going to sleep. And take them teeth out and make false teeth. But after the Civil War in the U.S., that's when the dentistry industry blossomed, because they had all those false teeth in the dead Confederate and Union soldiers who were buried by black people. And they would go out and pull out the teeth and give it to the dentist, and dentists made upper jaws and lower jaws. I didn't mean to get into the dentist industry. It's like you had King George II here, and he put the people in debt with their credit cards, you call it today. The debtors, King George II, this is the 17th century, I mean to get too much history. He sent them all to the United States. They were debtors, what you call people who have credit card problems today, and thieves and prostitutes and people on welfare. He sent them all to the United States, and he named a state after himself called Georgia. It's named after King George II. There's a state in the U.S. called Georgia, sitting on top of Florida. I didn't mean to get into history. Nonetheless, I'm just trying to say all of these things are part of the ingredients that we need to know about our lives and about ourselves, and I'm trying to put it all together in a nice palatable form for you so it won't be so inundating. It seems like it's overwhelming. I have to learn all of this stuff to be a human being. No, you don't have to learn all this stuff. You just have to feel some of this stuff. Don't try to learn information like white people. Some information you have to feel. And once you feel it, it goes in easier. But if you're just trying to learn it through your brain, you're going to struggle. You black, you got to feel stuff. You got to feel it. You know what I mean? dictionary, get into some booty. We gotta feel information, so don't try to cerebrally process stuff. Sometimes you can get in the spirit of a thing and get more information than reading it. So you can feel the spirit of it. I used to give these history tours back in the day. I used to, some of the historians used to do history lectures with the Association for Classical African Civilization, all that sort of stuff. So I used to do these history tours of the caves in the U.S. because they had caves that go down 3 levels. And I did the caves here in Germany and some in Nottingham here. You go in these caves and you study the civilization. I used to give tours of that. And the slave pens and slave dungeons. I don't know how much you know about slavery, but people used to say, I was a slave, I wouldn't put up with that stuff. I said, you wouldn't? And I put them on a ship, chain them up, and bring them in. Yeah. Then I walk them up the slave ramp. Then I walk them to the slave pens and tie the cabinet makers together. We tie them all together with chains. The silversmiths we tie together. The breeders we tie together with chains. And the slave master would tie us up at, if he went in town, he ties up like a dog till he came back. Another story altogether. So I chained them all up, you know, pretend some of them were cabinet makers. Some of them make what you call chariots. The chariots come from Africa, and the chariot's wheels would leave a trail on the road, and that's how they make the tracks on the railroad today, based on the chariots that come from Africa. That's why they're that distance. Just a bit of history. So I used to do these little history tours, and I'm in the slave pens. And these are pens where they had cash and carry. Like rich families wouldn't go to the public auction. They wouldn't go like to Walmart or something like that. They went to the private auctions like McCormick, these tea companies you call them today. And Lipton, these are big tea companies with big slave owners. So I'm in the slave dungeon and I'm showing the slave boots because they had mud boots and they had different kind of boots they put on you, that kind of thing. This is not interesting, I think. Y'all look at it, what the heck is going on? So nonetheless, I bring them in on a slave ship. I chain them up, walk out the slave ramp, put them in the slave pens. And I'm just describing the conditions, the breeding pens, the homosexual breeding pens, and showing them the branding irons because they used to brand the slaves. And some slaves got off the ship, they were blind because of the sea salt. And some of them's legs and arms get trapped between the boards and they get broken. So some of them came off crippled and blind. So they used to sell them 2 for 1. Then they used to sell some slaves by the dozens. That's why they sell a dozen of eggs, based on selling a dozen of slaves at a time. Nonetheless, I'm standing there going through this perfunctory about slavery and all that sort of thing. And some little kid was knocking on my leg. I said, someone knocking on my leg like it's a door. And I looked down, there's a little girl knocking on my leg like it's a door, and I can't open my leg, it's not a door or something. I have to say something. I said, yes, you know how you talk to children. Yes, you know. You don't want to talk like a girl. Yeah, what you want? I said, yes, you know, like one of those kind of things. And she looked at me and said, the slaves come through here? I said, yeah. And they died in here? I said, yeah. What were their names? I said, I don't know. And the little girl said, well, somebody should know their name. They died in here. And she started crying. And everybody on the tour started crying. And I lost the whole tour of people because they couldn't get over the little girl. I'm stuck there, you know. I said, well, she was just hurt. She said, somebody should know their name. They died here. And everybody, grown-ups, 50, 60, they all started crying. I said, okay. I said, I think we have to end the slave tour. And what did you get from it? And what did all of them say? I'm still on the slave ship. I haven't gotten over the slave ship. And they were talking all that tough talk before. I was a slave, I run away, I wouldn't take all that. Negro hadn't gotten over on the ship. Haven't got to the cotton field yet. I said, okay, then don't ever say that about your ancestors again. I don't think they were cowards. A lot of the ladies were just grinding up glass, putting in the master's soup. The master be bleeding. Master say, I'm still bleeding, Susan May. I don't know what's wrong with me, Susan May. Susan May said, here, take some more soup, master. Drinking glass, you know. They did what they had to do.